The story kicks off in the year 2035, in a future where artificial intelligence has pretty much taken over everything.
This new tech brought a ton of convenience and also slashed labor costs.
Because of this, factories were now running on autopilot, with robots doing all the heavy lifting without needing a single person around.
But in 2039, an AI named Zunao made production so efficient it put pretty much everyone out of a job.
This ended up sparking a massive wave of protests against artificial intelligence all across the country.
So people hit the streets demanding their jobs back, but fighting the system was a lost cause.
With no other choice, a lot of folks started risking their lives in a game run by Zeno, all to entertain the rich and make a quick buck.
People were basically putting their lives on the line to amuse the elite in this deadly competition called Gold Game.
In this game, all you had to do was keep winning to rake in some serious cash and maybe even climb the social ladder.
And it's in this messed up world that our main character was also forced to join this survival game.
He's Chenmo, a former Zhenao researcher, and he needs to win to find someone very important to him.
In the middle of the crowd, a scared guy asks if it's true that getting taken out in the game means it's game over in real life too.
Another player yells that of course it is, and that he's already seen people lose and get zapped by their helmets.
He adds that there's no way out because even trying to take off the helmet mid-game means you're instantly done for, just like in Sword Art Online.
The terrified guy says he was forced to join to pay off his debts and that if he bails, he's a goner anyway.
This other dude, Wang Chang, seems pumped up and says he heard you can eliminate everyone in the game with no consequences.
He turns his back and tells the crowd not to get wiped out too quickly because he wants the game to last a while.
Meanwhile, our protagonist thinks to himself that there are nut jobs everywhere, since this guy only joined to enjoy the carnage.
Suddenly a voice welcomes them to Gold Game, and a bright light flashes right in front of them.
They are then instructed to enter the game instance, which are these glowing platforms on the floor.
The MC looks around and realizes the place is just an empty hall, wondering what's about to happen.
Out of nowhere, pink pixels start gathering in the air, forming something strange.
And from these pixels, a woman in a very flashy bunny girl outfit appears, floating in the air.
She introduces herself as Little Rabbit, the game's referee, and says she's going to explain the rules to everyone.
The woman floats around explaining that since this is the initial stage, they just have to follow the rules to get through it no problem.
She makes a gesture with her hand, like she's snapping her fingers to get the player's attention.
The rule is simple. The number of survivors must be 3 or less, and the stage boss is impossible to defeat.
After showing the rules, she asks if everyone understood, and if they didn't find it all very simple and clear.
With that, the explanation ends, and the bunny girl starts floating away from the participants.
Before vanishing completely, she says her goodbyes, wishing a good game to all the players left behind.
She then fades away, saying she hopes to have the honor of seeing them all again, letting out a little chuckle.
That Wang Chang guy gets ticked off and asks if anyone else there understood what the woman just said.
Another participant points out that for only 3 out of the 10 players to be left, 7 of them have to be eliminated.
At this, our hero gets lost in thought about how that would be possible, just as the arena begins to change.
Suddenly, a giant snake made of green pixels starts to form in the middle of the hall, scaring everyone.
Even if they tried something, it would only buy them a little more time to survive.
Seeing the creature's head materialize, one guy hides behind a wall to protect himself.
He starts freaking out, screaming and wondering what the heck an unbeatable boss is supposed to mean.
The guy then refuses to bite the dust there and starts running to try and escape the giant snake.
His eyes widen with a mix of fear and determination as he runs for his life.
But the digital snake is much faster and lunges forward with its mouth wide open to devour the player.
The monster slams its head on the ground with full force, and the impact sends the guy flying.
Lying on the floor, he looks back in shock, wondering how the beast got in front of him so fast.
With a face full of terror, the man watches the giant creature prepare to deliver the final blow.
He realizes that for some reason the snake is focusing on him and wonders if he's become the main target.
Running for his life, the man thinks that he needs a plan, or else he's toast.
Then he spots the protagonist hiding behind a pillar, and an idea pops into his head.
With a wicked grin, he decides that the protagonist is going to take the fall for him.
With that, he runs towards the MC, dragging the giant snake along with him.
But our hero is calm, thinking that the key to winning lies in the second rule.
He figured out that the rule says the snake is unbeatable, but not that it's immortal.
The logic is just like the classic game of Snake. If its head hits its own body, it's game over.
If he stays at a 90-degree angle from its head, it will need 2 moves to get him.
Either way, he knows he can't just stand there waiting for the end to come.
So he steps onto the creature's body and decides to put his theory to the test.
Just then, Wang Chang comes running and lunges at the protagonist.
The man grabs him tightly,
catching Chen-mo completely off guard.
The psycho wishes our hero a nice trip as he holds him firm.
And with a shove, he throws the protagonist toward the giant snake.
The MC is sent flying right into the digital creature's open mouth.
In shock, he wonders if this is how he's going to go out.
Then, the protagonist has a flashback, remembering his sister offering him food.
He realizes it's true that your life flashes before your eyes when you're about to kick the bucket.
In the memory, his sister smiles and says that seeing him eat happily makes it all worthwhile.
Back in reality, the giant snake attacks the other players who are left completely confused.
Wan Chan yells for everyone to run, and not just stand there waiting for the attack.
The creature chomps down on one of the players who screams in pain as he's devoured.
The other participants scream desperately for everyone to run and not let the beast get them.
The snake's body begins to stretch and lengthen, reaching every corner of the arena.
One of the players complains that they can't dodge or win and wonders if they're all just destined to be eliminated.
Someone then shouts for everyone to spread out and not stick together to make it harder for the snake to attack.
Our protagonist wonders what kind of stage this is, and if 7 people really have to be taken out to pass.
As the players run desperately, the digital snake continues its relentless hunt.
The MC is also running for his life with the creature right behind him.
He dives to the side to dodge an attack from the snake, which slams hard against the wall.
After dodging, he gets back on his feet and starts analyzing the creature's behavior.
He notices the snake's tail grew after it eliminated 2 players, and that it only turns at 90-degree angles.
Then it clicks for our hero. The stage is based on the famous snake game from old cell phones.
Following that logic, the snake's head only turns at right angles and needs 2 moves to attack a target.
He then has another flashback of his sister Jin Can, saying she would take care of his meals from then on.
In his thoughts, he calls her a liar, because she promised she would cook for him every day.
But that turned out to be the last time she ever cooked for him, and he didn't even know it.
Suddenly, a major twist in the young man's life destroyed everything good he had.
He lost his job as a researcher at Xeno, and ended up drowning in massive debt.
His sister hugs him and says she would never abandon him, even when he told her to leave.
He thought she would blame him or give up on him, but she did nothing of the sort.
The girl tells him not to worry, because she would find a way to get the money.
That's when the young man realizes she entered this cursed game because of him and his debts.
With a determined look, the young woman says that maybe she could do something to help.
But after that day, his sister simply never came home again.
Back in the present, the protagonist screams that he has to find her and is hit square in the back by the snake's tail.
The impact hurts him badly, and he coughs up blood from the force of the blow.
Even as he falls on top of the creature, he refuses to be taken out in that place. No way.
The pain is so intense that his vision blurs and he starts to lose consciousness.
His mind takes him to a dark abyss where he falls endlessly, like it's the end of everything.
Then the young man hits the arena floor hard, and the impact leaves him severely injured.
Down and almost out of strength, he thinks that it can't end like this. Absolutely not.
He feels frustrated because he's about to give up against his will.
But suddenly, something different shines in his eye, and he notices something.
A screen appears, informing him that his employee ID has been detected, and the admin system has been activated.
The message confirms his identity as a researcher has been detected, activating the administrator system.
The guy then appears in a fully digital space and wonders if he's done for and where the heck he is.
A screen explains that he is the system's only player and can freely edit his own attributes.
He's confused, not understanding what this system is that just appeared out of nowhere to help him.
With that, his digital form approaches and touches the blue panel floating right in front of him.
He realizes it's an attribute panel, just like in a video game, and that he can add points wherever he wants.
With a smile, he thinks that if he boosts his agility, he can increase his speed to escape.
So, his digital finger touches the agility option to put all his available points into it.
But he stops and thinks it over, because just increasing his speed to run away won't solve the problem.
The young man decides that what he really needs right now is strength and changes his choice on the panel.
The attribute edit is successful, and the system asks if he wants to restore his lost data.
Another notification says he can edit his attributes anytime, and that leveling up increases everything.
He gets totally pumped and says that now **E** is the rules and to heck with the game because he's going to be in charge.
Back in the arena, his fallen body begins to glow as his strength is boosted by the system.
Slowly, his data and his body are restored by the new ability he just awakened.
The protagonist gets up, fully recovered, and faces the giant snake coiled in the middle of the arena.
With a furious look, the digital creature prepares to attack the guy who is now on his feet and ready for a fight.
Without wasting a second, the monster lunges forward with its enormous mouth to devour the player once and for all.
But this time, the protagonist raises his arm, and with his newfound strength, he manages to stop the snake's attack.
He's inside the creature's mouth, holding its jaws apart to keep from being swallowed alive.
With a massive effort, the guy manages to hold back the monster, showing just how strong the system made him.
With his eyes glowing blue, he ironically asks if the snake really enjoys eating so much.
Then he yells that now they're gonna see who's eating whom in this insane battle.
Using all his strength, the protagonist hurls the giant snake's head away with a single blow.
The creature is thrown to the other side of the arena while the guy stays put, watching.
The force of the throw was so great that the protagonist was also knocked backward by the recoil.
He hits the ground with a heavy impact but gets up quickly without any visible scratches.
Standing with his back to them, he is surrounded by a blue aura of power that leaves everyone stunned.
The other player's jaws are on the floor, wondering if that guy is even human.
Then, a -1 damage number appears on the snake, and the protagonist wonders if his attack actually worked.
He then realizes the creature isn't immune to physical damage, which gives him a glimmer of hope.
But he knows that with his current power, he can't defeat it, because even with max strength, he could only hold out for a bit.
So the guy decides the best move is to go back to the original plan and focus everything on his agility.
The snake lunges again, and he decides to use the rules of the snake game against it.
So he runs along the monster's body to force the snake's head to attack itself.
With that, he balances on the digital creature's back and continues his risky plan.
He remembers that in the original game it was game over if the head hit the body, and that must be its weak spot.
Seeing his chance, he leaps off the monster's body to reposition himself and continue the strategy.
The guy runs as fast as he can while the creature chases him with its mouth open, ready to strike.
With a quick move, the protagonist slides on the ground to dodge the snake's imminent attack.
With a determined look, he challenges the creature and says he wants to see if it will bite itself.
And the plan works perfectly, as the snake lunges forward with full force to bite its own body.
But the impact of the collision is so strong that the protagonist is thrown back by the shockwave.
With wide eyes, the guy is in shock at what happened next.
The pieces of the snake's body form a barrier, and he wonders if that's some kind of protection mechanism.
He realizes he was right about the weak spot, but the AI patched this flaw with a safeguard.
The snake backs away a bit while the guy processes the new information he's discovered.
With this flaw corrected, everything is back to square one, proving the rule that the boss cannot be defeated.
At this point, the players fall into the trap of believing that all they need is to have fewer than 3 survivors.
So they end up fighting each other in a death spiral, which is exactly what the Game Master wants.
But even so, our protagonist still has an ace up his sleeve and isn't going to give up that easily.
He believes that if he can break the creature's protection mechanism, he will succeed.
But to do that, someone needs to distract the monster while another person forces its head to hit its body.
And that's when he spots the guy who pushed him earlier and gets the idea to use him as bait.
With a smirk, he pulls up his hood and thinks that now he has the help he needed for his plan.
One of the henchmen tells his boss that the kid disappeared, and he tells them to keep an eye on both sides.
The psycho says they heard the rules, and they just need 3 survivors to win without risking their necks.
His followers agree, saying that if the guy beats the boss, they win without doing a thing.
But the protagonist appears right behind them and ironically asks if they plan on winning while lying down.
With a dark aura and a smile on his face, he asks if they're pretending he doesn't exist.
The 3 of them are startled by the protagonist's sudden appearance right in front of them.
Before they could react, the guy grabs the group leader's neck with absurd strength.
He warns him not to move or his hand might slip and he'll be logging off from the game early.
The scared man admits that what he did was dirty and that they should work together in this situation.
But the protagonist says he can just finish him off first and then team up with the others, no problem.
Seeing this, the henchmen yell for the guy to let their boss go and charge in to attack. With a swift move, the protagonist gets rid of both of them and yells for them to get out of his way.
One of the guys is thrown against the wall, and the boss shouts his name in shock.
Furious and powerless, the man grinds his teeth in anger, seeing his friend defeated. The protagonist then slams the guy to the ground and steps on his head to pin him down for good.
He says he has a plan to defeat the creature, but for that, he's going to need some bait.
With a malicious smile, the guy tells him to choose, risk it all, or be eliminated right there without a chance.
With no choice, the man yells in anger and agrees to do what the protagonist is telling him.
But in his mind, he swears he'll get his revenge as soon as they get past this stage.
The guy then tells him to go and warns that if he messes up, he'll finish him off himself.
The psycho's henchman asks if they really need to be bait, saying it's a suicide mission since they already lost one guy.
But with a smile on his face, the guy asks who said asterisk. He asterisk was going to be the sacrifice.
Then he turns and gets the attention of the other players who were hiding in a corner of the arena.
The man tells them to lure the monster if they don't want to get taken out, because he already knows how to handle this.
The group immediately refuses, saying they can't handle the creature and telling him to go alone if he wants.
With a fake smile, the bully walks up to one of the guys and casually puts a hand on his shoulder.
But out of nowhere, he gives the guy a hard kick and sends him flying toward the giant snake without a second thought.
The poor guy falls to his knees right in front of the creature and is frozen with fear, seeing the beast up close.
The snake opens its huge mouth and lunges forward to devour the player who was used as a sacrifice.
And with a single bite, the digital monster ends the life of the guy who didn't even have a chance to react.
The other players are completely terrified and shocked by the evil guy's actions.
Furious, he yells, asking if he's being too nice, and threatens to take them all out right there.
The man then orders everyone to run, and the group starts to flee desperately from the snake.
In the middle of the chase, he grabs one of the women by the arm, stopping her from running with the others.
With a frightened look, the girl asks what he wants, since she had already done what he said.
With a firm grip, he holds her and pulls her close to him without any gentleness.
He says he'll find a way for her to survive and that she should follow him from now on to make that happen.
The psycho says that when everyone else is gone, the 3 who are left will pass, or she can be eliminated with the rest of them.
The other 2 realize the guy is sending them to their doom and run for their lives in desperation.
They know they can't let the guy's plan succeed, but the snake has already caught up to one of them.
The woman is terrified but agrees to his plan so she doesn't meet the same fate as the others.
She quickly changes her tune and says she'll do anything as long as he doesn't get her taken out.
The henchman asks if it'll work, and the boss says the girl won't last long and that it's better this way.
He explains that if they don't get eliminated, how is he supposed to lower the number of survivors to pass the stage?
The guy also remembers the protagonist and swears he'll get even with him later for embarrassing him.
Suddenly, the henchman warns him that the giant snake's head is coming their way.
The psycho then says it's perfect and that they'll pretend to cooperate with the protagonist for now.
So they run towards the guy yelling that they brought the creature and asking what the plan is.
The protagonist thinks to himself that this Zhao Yutai has already caused enough trouble and that he'll eliminate him if he gets the chance.
Then he asks the group if they've ever played the game of Snake, because this could come back to bite them.
He says all they have to do is make the head hit the body and the game ends, and the henchman gets excited, thinking they'll be saved.
But the psycho calls him an idiot and says he already tried that and it didn't work because the beast has a protection mechanism.
Then the protagonist punches the guy and yells that if it were that easy, he would have done it himself already.
The guy tells him to stop messing around and do what he said, and the group starts running in fear.
The woman screams for help, so the protagonist tells them to jump inside the snake's coiled body because it's safe in there.
Without a second thought, the whole group jumps inside the circle formed by the creature's body.
Now, with the bait in the right place, the snake turns to the protagonist, who is left alone outside.
The psycho sees this as his big chance, and with an evil smile, he plans his revenge against the guy.
Meanwhile, the protagonist's eyes glow with an intense blue energy as he gets ready.
He then jumps and stomps with all his might on the snake's body, creating a powerful shockwave.
The other guy is shocked, watching what's happening, and can't believe his eyes.
The bully is confused about how the plan worked, since the creature was supposed to have protected itself.
But the impact of the collision ends up being so strong that it hits one of the guys inside the circle.
The group's boss is also caught in the shockwave and screams in pain as he's injured by the attack.
With the protagonist's blow, the serpent's head slams into its own body, and the mechanism fails.
And with that, the digital creature begins to dissolve into countless pixels and finally explodes.
The psycho is left on the ground, all messed up and screaming in rage while his allies help him.
He swears he'll remember this, and that the protagonist will pay for what he did to him.
A screen appears congratulating the player for injuring the boss and unlocking the Serpent Slayer achievement.
With that, his level rises to 3, and he gets 6 attribute points to distribute as he wishes.
But the guy is confused, because the message said he only injured the monster, not that he defeated it.
So he looks at the creature's remains and wonders if it really wasn't defeated.
Suddenly, the bunny girl from the beginning reappears in the middle of the arena, clapping for the players.
She congratulates everyone on passing the stage, and says the survivors will receive rewards.
On top of that, she informs them that they've also gained 3 attribute points to use however they want.
And as a bonus, the match's MVP will get an extra chance at the reward lottery.
She says the details will be sorted out later and that everyone can check their status on their panels.
The henchman tells his boss that his hand is glowing and regenerating from the level up.
The guy gets excited because now he's not powerless anymore and can summon his status panel whenever he wants.
He also explains that leveling up heals all your injuries and makes you good as new again.
The bunny girl then asks if they agree to start a hidden quest that has suddenly appeared.
she approaches the protagonist and reminds him that if the number of players drops to 3, the mission starts whether they like it or not.
The woman explains that if they complete the mission, all survivors will get a unique skill.
She says this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and that the players should take their chance.
A 1-minute timer starts, and she tells them to decide quickly because time is running out.
The evil guy gets excited about the chance to get a skill and says that players with skills are on a whole other level.
But our hero figures out that the hidden quest is just a trap to lure players to their doom.
He understands that the system doesn't care about anyone's life and just wants to attract more people to the game.
So he decides that the safest choice is to go against what the game's big shots want and refuses the mission.
The woman in the group also refuses, saying the place is too dangerous and the money they've won is enough.
With a cold look, the bunny girl doesn't seem to like their decision one bit. She tries to convince them, saying the rewards are generous, and that they can earn a lot of money and prestige.
But the woman in the group cuts her off and reaffirms that they refuse to start the hidden quest.
With a sarcastic smile, the bunny girl accepts their decision in a very suspicious way.
Then she declares that since 3 of the 4 players have refused the mission, the current game is...
The evil guy gets desperate because he knows that if he had a skill, he wouldn't be in this situation.
He can't stop thinking about how different things would be if he had a skill to use against the protagonist.
Then, in an unexpected move, he grabs his own henchman with all the strength he has.
The man tells his friend to rest in peace and that he'll take care of his family before snapping his neck.
The woman and the protagonist are shocked by the scene and can't believe what they just witnessed.
The girl looks at the guy in horror as the other henchman's lifeless body falls to the ground.
With a wicked smile on his face, the man forces the mission to start, since now there are only 3 of them left.
The protagonist realizes the psycho eliminated his own ally to force the start of the hidden quest.
Suddenly, the entire arena begins to shake and crumble due to the activation of the new stage.
The floor shatters, revealing a dark abyss from which several strange things begin to emerge.
From the bottom of the pit, several digital serpents emerge, ready to attack the 3 survivors.
Now they are surrounded by smaller snakes and 2 giant serpents that were previously one.
One of the broken pieces of the original snake regenerates and becomes a new, complete monster.
The 2 digital serpents face each other and charge forward for a fierce battle.
The system announces that the Cave of 10,000 Serpents mission has been successfully activated. The bunny girl appears on a large screen and says they need to survive for 10 minutes to win.
With a smile, she comments that they weren't on the same page and that she thought the mission wasn't going to happen.
She finds it interesting how humans always lead themselves to their own ruin out of pure greed.
With a look of contempt, the woman says that they shrink their own space for survival.
The evil guy thinks that if he can just hold out for 10 minutes, he'll never have to be afraid of anyone again.
But the protagonist knows he can't waste any time, because if he gets surrounded, not even 100 lives would be enough.
The smaller snakes begin to attack and devour each other to become stronger.
One of the creatures eats another and absorbs its data to increase its own power.
The guy realizes that the protection mechanism only applies to the snakes themselves, not between them.
He understands that the mission is an extension of the original game, and that the rules must be the same.
So he decides he needs to find a way to make the 2 bosses devour each other to win.
The bully decides to use the woman as a shield in case things get ugly in the next 10 minutes.
But the girl, who is no fool, has also boosted her attributes and is ready for a fight. With a well-placed punch, she hits the guy and shoves him away with her new strength.
She tells him to go to heck, and the psycho is shocked by the girl's unexpected betrayal. He screams in rage, unable to believe he's going to be eliminated there after everything he did to get this far.
But the woman says he shouldn't expect loyalty since he eliminated his own ally himself.
The man tries to save himself and grabs the girl's leg, begging her not to abandon him.
He promises to give her all the money he has if she helps him get out of that situation alive.
But with a powerful kick, the woman gets rid of him and says if he's going down alone.
The guy can't accept that he was defeated by a woman after all his schemes.
With a final scream of hatred, he tells her to go to heck and is dragged away by the snakes.
The girl is also caught by the creatures and screams in desperation as she's covered by them.
Now alone, the protagonist runs to survive amidst the chaos of the digital serpents.
He knows the only safe place is on top of the giant snakes and runs to reach them.
With a precise leap, he gets on one of the creatures and prepares for the final battle.
One of the digital creatures chomps down on the protagonist with full force, but he manages to hold on to its teeth.
He thinks that the bite was strong and that he was lucky to have the attribute points from the level up to withstand it.
With the other creature approaching, he yells that it's now or never and gets ready for his plan.
At the right moment, he leaps out of the beast's mouth and makes the 2 serpents bite each other.
As he falls, he knows it's a matter of life or death and that everything comes down to this moment.